can have all of the scientific research along this line that you wish without sacrificing embryos, because you can derive these cells from skin cells, for example. This was not true a few years ago. Now, the whole reason the left is pushing this is because the abortion racket is behind it. Do you understand this? Michelle in Michigan seems to understand it. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I just wanted to, and I completely agree with you from working on the adult side. It is about what do you want the cells to do, and if you want the cells to, you can't create an organ outside the body yet. So, if you want the cells to repair and build substrates that can build between one neuron, another neuron, a branch, so that the neurons can crawl across, and help out the spinal cord injuries, like the last caller, then the adult stem cells can do that. And they
hold on. You are a cell researcher?
Adult stem cell research.
God bless you, because you're a godsend for me and millions of people listening to the Savage Nation. My good lady, please explain what an adult stem cell is and where it is derived from.
The adult stem cells, first of all, most so commonly they're derived from bone marrow. They're also from cord blood, peripheral blood, fat stem cells, which have just recently come across, and the skin stem cells. But basically, every tissue part in the body has resident stem cells, and resident stem cells can regenerate any tissue that is part of that tissue of origin.
So, Michelle, we no longer need embryonic stem cells?
I think the question is what you want the embryonic stem cells to do.
Why do they argue that, of course, we know that adult stem cells can be used to create lines, but we must have embryonic stem cells because they are superior? Is that true or false?
I think that's false.
Why do you think that's false?
The route that I've seen the embryonic stem cells take right now, embryonic stem cells, and they've shown it in animal studies, if you take pure embryonic stem cells right out of culture and you haven't differentiated them, they're in their undifferentiated state. And they're also, the embryonic stem cells come from in vitro fertilization clinics.
Right.
They're less than 5 days old. So you take them, just the embryonic stem cells, the round spheres, and you put them in to animals, they form teratomas. So they become cancerous. So what they have to do is they have to so they keep them in this undifferentiated state so that they can grow up lots and lots of them, and so they can treat lots and lots of different people. That's the idea of it.
But wait, hold a minute, Michelle. You're fundamentally trained in what? What is your field of learning?
Engineering.
What, bioengineering?
Yeah.
So you trained in bioengineering, but are you a cell scientist? Would you say?
Oh, I've always gone on the cell side.
All right. So you're a brilliant young lady who knows this field inside and out. Do you have a political bias in this discussion?
I have a, personal religious bias, but politically, no, I'm...
All right, so you are a scientist, but you're also a person who believes in the sacredness of human life. I hear that. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, and so they're not incompatible?
No.
You see, but you've made the most important point of the day. I said it in a generic fashion earlier, which is that I am for scientific advancement, but I'm also cognizant of what happens when you start to deny the human element here. You start to look away from the human cost of scientific research, and you wind up with Mengele playing with human life. Isn't that fundamentally what you believe?
Yeah.
Michelle, I want to keep you on the show for a few minutes. Just tell the people what you mean by you're a cell researcher. Tell young people listening to the show what that means.
What I'm trying to do is bring cell therapy, adult stem cell therapy, and make a difference in everyone's lives. And, we're looking at cardiac, vascular, saving limbs, and also, and eventually neural when we...
Okay, but again, for the average listener who doesn't have any scientific background, you're on the same wavelength as those doing stem cell research, meaning cells from embryos, only you're saying you can derive these stem cells from adult cells rather than from embryos. Isn't that all you're saying?
Well, better yet, from your own cells.
Your own cells. So if a person has an illness, and let us say a spinal cord injury, please explain what you mean by that.
The idea on the adult autologous side, which, is very safe. You take your own cells, you get a little prick from your iliac crest, and then your own bone marrow cells are expanded, the still, under scientific discovery, trying to understand which ones you want. But that's what I basically do day in, day out, is try to characterize.
Do you work for a commercial venture?
Yeah.
You do. You work for a company. We're not going to ask you the name of the company. But it's a company that's attempting to use adult stem cells rather than embryonic stem cells. Isn't that more or less what you're saying?
Correct. And we're in clinical trials. I mean,
who funds your research, Michelle? Who do you get your research funds from?
We're public.
You're a public company. We're having a debate today about stem cell research. Why? Because our new president, the junior college professor, the far-left radical Obama, has written an executive order today saying that presto magico, we're going to use embryos to derive stem cells for scientific research. This was illegal until now. You are saying you're in favor of scientific research of this nature, but it is unnecessary to kill embryos to derive stem cells, that these stem cells can be derived from adult tissue as well, including tissue from the person's own body. Isn't that more or less what you're saying?
Correct.
Well, it doesn't get any clearer than me figuring things out. And I've been given a gift from God, which is the gift of explanation. And I want to say this to you, Michelle. You're doing God's work, and I hope you know that. I don't know how you got to where you are in what you're doing, but no matter what influences come flying at you, no matter how you are tempted to think your work is not worthwhile, or that people tell you you're an idiot, or why you're wasting your time, or you could be rich if you went down to the embryonic stem cell research company in Atlanta, whatever. Stay with what you're doing, Michelle. You're doing God's work.
Thank you.
Savage.